Natty Zola, I am so happy that you were able to join us today. You have been in the entrepreneurial space for a very long time, and I'm excited to get some wisdom from you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk. We're at Startup Week at 1900 Lawrence, and tell me about what the importance of Colorado Startup Week is to our communities.
Yes, we've had Startup Weeks in our communities for a little over a decade now, is my guess. And why it's really important is entrepreneurship is really important to our society, our economy, our community. We personally believe that entrepreneurs help us build a better future, and we want there to be entrepreneurism everywhere. And so when you're in a community like Colorado where you have a lot of entrepreneurship happening, we want to rally the community to help each other. And I think one of the unique things about Colorado is our community really wants to help each other. On the grand scheme of things, Colorado tends to be about the 5th largest startup ecosystem in the country, but we're still small on the grand scale. And so we're able to really collaborate, help each other. And Startup Week is a way where everyone can get together, dedicate about a week to networking, helping each other, learning. Many people raise their hands and offer sessions or panels where they can teach their wisdom to the community. And overall, what we do here is we build connectivity among entrepreneurs, service providers, people who are curious about doing startups or technology. So it's just a good way to bring the community together and all grow together. And I think that's really important to have that in our DNA as a community because we are very community driven.
I agree with you. I think this is our 14th year with Startup Week, and so it's really pretty amazing on the ecosystem that it's kind of solidified. You spend time in many geographies, so you've got kind of a view of where we fit. And you mentioned collaboration, which I think has been a moniker for Colorado for a long time. Where do you think we need to work?
Yeah, and I've been I've been involved in the Colorado startup ecosystem since 2008. I moved, actually grew up in Colorado, but I was on the East Coast, and I moved back in 2008 to start a company out of my parents' basement in Boulder. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And so I've been involved since 2008. So I've seen a lot of growth here. Originally, the ecosystem was primarily based in Boulder. Now Denver, Colorado Springs, even the Western Slope, there's entrepreneurship happening everywhere at a relatively large scale. So I think we're really headed in the right direction. So I don't know that I have anything that I think we should improve. I think we need to just keep going and keep supporting our entrepreneurs, making sure we have programs like Colorado Startup Week where people can connect with each other, attracting people to move to the state who want to start companies, helping our own homegrown companies. So for me, there's not any really big oh, we need to change this. It's just, let's keep going, and it's really compounding right now. So I know that's not maybe, one thing we can just go out there and say, hey, let's go change this one thing. It's just, like most of our startups we're involved in, it's about really just doing the work, keeping growing, compounding, serving customers, making people happy. So I hope that's what we do, and I think we're on a good trajectory here.
Yeah, I feel that same way, and I love how you kind of characterize the importance of startups and entrepreneurs, because I actually look at it and say, if you're starting a company, you've got a boatload of unpredictable things that are going to happen to you. And that means that you're going to have to be really creative and really agile and move quickly. That's the kind of stuff that is not going to be replaced by AI immediately.
Absolutely, and you need a lot of help. One thing, going back to the why is the Startup Week really important is every startup that I've been involved with has required a village. You've got this great entrepreneur who's got a great idea and they work really hard, and in spite of all that, that's kind of the prerequisite. But what you also need is you need help. You need mentorship. You need people who are willing to make introductions for you. You need introduction to capital providers. And I really think the best entrepreneurs go out and leverage the resources around them. And it's really important to be in an ecosystem that wants to see you succeed. So we talked about collaboration. Of all the ecosystems I'm in, this one to me feels like there's the most rooting for each other of any ecosystem I'm a part of. And maybe that's because we feel like in some ways we're a little bit of an underdog. We're not San Francisco, we're not New York, we're not Boston. And I don't think we want to be those. I think we want to be Colorado. We want to do it our own way. But that means rooting for each other. That's helping each other. That's going back to an ethos that this community has been really strong around, which is called Give First, which came out of Techstars. And I think that is underpinning, why people are really collaborative here is it's, hey, we're going to give, we're going to help each other, not expecting anything in return. But over time, you end up getting a lot of rewards from just being out there giving. And that's, what I think this ecosystem is known for.
I think that's one of the reasons that I love Colorado is that there is a sense of community, and you can pick up a phone. It's like 6 degrees of separation is like way too many. You got 1 or 2 degrees of separation, and it feeds on that kind of ethical behavior as well. Is that you have a reputation and it means something.
Well, this is actually a really key point is I like the size of our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Of course, we always want more and bigger, but our ecosystem is a nice size where we think about reputational constraints. And when you're a really big ecosystem, maybe like New York, there's so much going on that your reputation, you can kind of leave your reputation behind. In Colorado, you can't. And I think it is a reputationally constrained ecosystem. So we all know that. And I think we attract people here who have a really good reputation, who have high integrity. I think the ecosystem really fosters that. If someone does something that maybe is out of line, we don't kick them out. We talk with them about it. We kind of educate them, but we're all here on good behavior and excited to help each other. And I think attracting the right kind of people too.
It's interesting. This conversation makes me think of a Warren Buffett quote, which is that, when he looks at a human, he's like, are you enthusiastic? Are you smart? And are you ethical? And if you've got the first two and you don't have the third one, it's a problem.
Yep. That's what we look for in startup founders too. Yeah, exactly that.
Yep. I like that. Well, one of the things that I just love about your background is you spent time with Jim Collins, an amazing author in the business community. Tell me a little bit about that experience and how working with Jim helped you form your perspective.
Yep. So Jim is an incredible person. I'm lucky to have worked with him, and he's shaped a lot of my thinking. A few things that stand out to me is one, Jim has this unique balance of kindness and intensity that I think, I've really reflected on as being a powerful combination. So one of the most intense people I've worked with, very, very smart, thoughtful, pushes hard, really expects a lot, like high intensity person, but also marries that with a lot of kindness and gives a lot of opportunity. So when I worked for him, I was a research associate for him working on a couple of his books. And what was very cool was he, from the get-go, empowered me to go and do the research, and he wanted to know my opinion. He pushed me to have strong opinions, and did that in a way that was very intense, but also very kind. And I think that is a really powerful combination that I've tried to take forward. And maybe sometimes people think that they're kind of opposites, like can you be kind and also be intense? I think they actually work really well together. So those are some traits in working with him that really stood out. Insane curiosity, which I think is really important, both as a founder and an investor. I mean, like the deepest thinker, insane curiosity. Let's see, what else stood out? He's, I think, very passionate also. So for 30 years, he's tried to answer the same question, which is what makes great companies tick? And I mean, what a journey to spend 30 years working on the same problem or the same question. And I think as an investor now, my 30-year journey is how do I help great entrepreneurs succeed in Colorado and surrounding areas? I feel like it's a privilege to have like a 30-year mission, and he had a really, really good one that he shared with the world. And a lot of the entrepreneurs we figure out, what's their 30-year mission or 100-year mission? What's the change they want to see in the world? And then, as an investor and a mentor and a friend and a community person, how can I hopefully help them a little bit on that journey on something that is, really important to them? So, I saw that a lot in Jim in working with him too.
What I love about that is that a lot of times when you're putting together mission statements and looking at where you're going to go in the future, projecting out 10 years seems so just daunting. But the reality is that if you at least have a goal, and it may change how you get there and what the goal is, but it's incredibly important for that grounding.
We see that all the time. And a lot of times what we're looking for in entrepreneurs is some sort of North Star or 30-year or 100-year vision that is the change they want to see in the world. We're not totally sure how they're going to get there. And maybe this is a fun story here is like when we are looking to invest in a company, we look at 6 things in rank order, and it's team, market, progress, idea. And the reason why we focus on that, and this is a heuristic we learned from Techstars, is it's all about the team, right? Who are these people? Why are they special? Do they work hard? Do they, do they have enthusiasm, integrity, dedication, all these things? Are they working in an interesting market? Do they have this really big vision? Do they see a change in the world? But the specific idea that they're working on towards that ultimate goal is actually the least important thing, at least at the early stage, because we know that it's going to change a lot in pursuit of that ultimate goal. And it's kind of a fun thing to be able to, meet an entrepreneur and back them and say, we really like you. We really think you're unique, put on the planet to do this thing. We like the future you want to create. And we also have no idea how we're going to get there. And that's a fun journey to go on with those entrepreneurs.
Wow, that's inspiring, and I agree with you on the team. I love that, and also the catalyst for that, because if you have individual team members that are not weaving together, it doesn't work very well.
Yep.
So oftentimes you're going to have a first meeting with somebody and you're going to need to make a decision, go or no go to the next level. What are some of the things that a founder should know about what that looks like in the first meeting?
Yep. I think for founders, the goal of your first meeting is to get a second meeting. A lot of times founders use the first meeting when they meet with an investor and they're kind of trying to get to a yes, and it doesn't happen that quickly. So really their goal is, how do I build a connection with this person? And really what that starts with is, a human connection. So a lot of the investing at the early stage for us, like I mentioned, is really team focused. So we want to just get to know you, like what's your background? Why do you care about the thing that you're doing? What unique abilities or insights do you have around that market area or the product you're building? And really for us, it's not so much a pitch as it is an exploration of that person and what they're passionate about. And so for us, we want the entrepreneur to sit down and feel very comfortable just being authentic and being themselves and hear their story. So oftentimes we start with, what's the origin story? Like, how'd you come up with the idea? I like to really spend a lot of time thinking, like, what was the moment where you realized, like, I have to do this? I'm going to leave my job, or I'm going to, even if you don't leave your job, I'm going to work on this on nights and weekends. Like, why, what was happening in that moment, and try to relive that? Because I think you get a lot of insight around that. So really for us, it's just about building a personal connection, hearing the story, understanding the thesis behind the company. And then, we go off after that first meeting and then do our own homework on that and think about, okay, do we really feel like this person is uniquely suited to do this? Do we also believe in the thesis of the future that they're setting out to go create? Is there any data that we can go look at independently to verify that? And so then we do work on our own side. And many times, nothing against that entrepreneur, but maybe we just have a different view on the thesis, or we feel like, I don't know, there was something in the team background that just didn't make sense for this entrepreneur to go do that thing. And so we might pass. But oftentimes for us, it's like, once we're inspired, like, get us inspired, get us as the investor surprised, like, teach us things, build a human connection, and then we're going to want to spend more time together and more time together. And then over time, then maybe we partner up, as an investor in that company. So it's not a specific set of questions or not a specific thing to answer, but it's really about build a human connection, get us excited about what you're building, teach us something, and then we kind of take it from there.
And a no might just be not now.
Often it's a not now. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and it's funny, some investors kind of, once they said no, they're kind of done with that idea or entrepreneur. We feel very differently about that. We love to say, hey, we really enjoyed meeting you. It's a very interesting idea. We'd like to see a little bit more of the market develop, or we had concerns about this. Could you find someone on your team to fill this gap where we think is really important? And can we kind of get to know you over 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? And we've made a lot of investments in companies where we said no initially and got to know them over time. It's no guarantee. And I don't want to also lead on an entrepreneur too much, because I think their time is so valuable. I don't want them to waste time keeping me up to date if I know it's never going to work out. So we do try to say that. But yeah, these are long relationships. Like if we invest in a company, we're sort of expecting to get to know those founders and be with them for 10 to 20 years. So it's like a marriage. You know, you don't want to rush it.
That's a relationship. Yeah. I love that. You know, we are seeing a lot of momentum. And in the startup community, in the entrepreneurial space, just in general, when you look at this, what do you think the next 12 months, 24 months is going to look like for startups and entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Well, we're in an interesting phase now because we have a new technology that we're able to play around with, which is AI. So it feels like an exciting period because we have a new technology and we're trying to figure out where does it work, where does it not work, what are new opportunities, how does it change existing opportunities. So it feels like a pretty fun era to be starting a company, to be investing, to be doing technology. But it also feels like an unknown. We don't know where the value is going to accrue. We don't know what opportunities are well situated for AI. So there's a lot of interest and attention on AI, certainly from founders and investors in the startup community. There's also still a lot of opportunity for other technology, whether it's just a normal software product. And then outside of that, I would say, especially here in Colorado, we have a lot of what I would call deep tech or frontier tech happening. So this is stuff like aerospace, quantum, crypto, blockchain, robotics, advanced manufacturing, and this ecosystem has really built a lot of expertise around those areas. So we're very excited about the future of what you would call maybe like a hard tech or frontier tech type company, especially in this ecosystem. So I would say it feels like one of the more exciting times to be a founder and investor. I've been in startups since 2008, so I would say one of the most exciting times, yeah.
That's great. Natty, I am so glad we had an opportunity to talk today. And, you know, talk about curiosity. There's 1,000 more questions I'd love to ask you. I hope we can do a follow-up sometime in the future.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Awesome.